The Dodgers are facing a massive problem right now, and it's not something that can simply be brushed off or blamed on one bad night. After last night's 9-6 loss to the Philadelphia Phillies, the team is in a position that nobody anticipated at the start of the season. To put it bluntly, the Dodgers are teetering on the edge of having to play in the wild card round, and for a team built with championship expectations and a roster loaded with talent, that is far from ideal. The Phillies have now taken the season series from the Dodgers, giving them the tiebreaker advantage. While some might argue that, with the size of the Phillies' lead, 6 games up with less than 2 weeks remaining in the regular season, the tiebreaker doesn't even matter. The reality is that the psychological and practical implications of this situation are significant. Being forced into the wild card round puts enormous pressure on the Dodgers' pitching staff, their bullpen, and their ability to maintain momentum heading into the playoffs. It's not just about one loss. It's about the way the team is positioned and the challenges they now face if they want to make a serious run. What makes this loss even more painful is the context of how it unfolded. The Dodgers had a 4-run lead, and Shohei Ohtani, arguably one of the best pitchers in the league this season, was on the mound delivering what can only be described as a historic performance. Ohtani was throwing in the triple digits, hitting 101 to 102 miles per hour, and was completely dominating the Phillies lineup. It was, without question, one of the greatest starts of his career as a Dodger, and fans watching were likely expecting a highlight reel performance that could propel the team toward a critical win. There was a sense that the Dodgers could finally take control of a crucial game, secure a statement victory against a top-tier opponent, and regain some of the confidence that has seemed to slip away in recent weeks. But then came the decision that would turn the narrative on its head. Ohtani was pulled after 5 innings, despite having thrown only around 70 pitches and maintaining a no-hitter at the time. This decision has understandably caused outrage among fans and analysts alike. The logic behind it, apparently, it was part of a pre-game plan to limit Ohtani's workload, does little to assuage frustration when the outcome of the game was so dramatically affected by it. After Ohtani left the mound, the Dodgers' bullpen collapsed, giving up 6 runs in the 6th inning. The team was never able to reclaim a lead, despite tying the game briefly in the 8th. The final loss was emblematic of the larger issues facing the team. They have a pitching staff that, while talented, is inconsistent and taxed, and they are now in a position where any managerial decision is magnified because there is so little margin for error in the playoff race. The choice to stick to a rigid pitch count for Ohtani, rather than allowing him to continue his dominant performance, raises important questions about strategy, leadership, and the balance between analytics and situational awareness. Many fans are understandably questioning whether this approach is sustainable for the playoffs. If Ohtani is only going to be allowed to throw 70 or 80 pitches, how will the Dodgers manage a bullpen that is already showing signs of strain? In a postseason scenario, every inning counts, and having to rely on the bullpen excessively could be disastrous against a team like Philadelphia, which has proven it can capitalize on every mistake. The idea of pulling a pitcher who is throwing a no-hitter may make sense from a long-term health perspective, but in the context of this game, with the playoffs looming and the team needing a statement win, it feels like a missed opportunity. Baseball fans have long revered the notion of a complete game no-hitter as one of the ultimate achievements for a pitcher, and when that chance is taken away by managerial caution, it not only affects the immediate outcome, but also the narrative and momentum of the team. Ohtani's start was historic, electrifying, and dominant, and yet the Dodgers' adherence to a preset plan effectively neutralized what could have been one of the defining moments of their season. This situation also brings into sharp focus the broader strategic challenges the Dodgers face. Heading into the playoffs, it seems clear that Ohtani is expected to be a key starting pitcher, but if his innings are limited in the same way, the bullpen will have to absorb enormous pressure. And, as we saw last night, when the bullpen is put in that position, the results can be catastrophic. Players like Raleski and Trinan struggled under that pressure, leading to pivotal runs for the Phillies and ultimately a crushing loss for the Dodgers. Even Jack Dreyer, who performed relatively well, couldn't compensate for the earlier collapse. It's a scenario that highlights how interconnected every decision is in baseball. Pulling a pitcher isn't just about that pitcher. It's about the ripple effects on the rest of the staff and the team's ability to win games in high-stakes situations. The decision to limit Ohtani's outing, while understandable in theory, exposed a critical weakness in the Dodgers' depth and strategy, one that will be magnified exponentially in the postseason. The bigger picture here is that the Dodgers, despite their acquisitions and star power, are now in a precarious position. Being forced into the wild card round is far from ideal, as it adds an extra layer of games, intensifies the strain on a fragile bullpen, and places them on the road for what will likely be a difficult matchup against the Phillies. The psychological impact cannot be overstated either. A team accustomed to contending for division titles and holding home field advantages is suddenly facing an uphill battle just to reach the next round. And while the team has shown flashes of brilliance, scoring runs, executing plays, and delivering dominant individual performances, the consistency required to succeed in October is not fully there. Every decision, every pitch, every substitution becomes crucial, and the margin for error is razor thin. This is exactly why the decision to pull Ohtani resonates so strongly. It's emblematic of a larger problem, a tension between calculated strategy and the instinct to seize opportunities when they present themselves. As the season winds down and the Dodgers look toward the wild card round, the questions are piling up. How will the team manage Ohtani's workload while ensuring the bullpen is not overtaxed? Who will emerge as the reliable arms when the stakes are highest? How will the Dodgers navigate a potential first-round matchup against a dominant Phillies team on the road? These questions are not abstract. They are immediate, urgent, and central to the Dodgers' chances of extending their season. The loss last night was not just a defeat on the scoreboard. It was a moment that crystallized the challenges the team now faces and the difficult decisions that will define their postseason. In a season filled with high expectations, last night's game served as a reminder that talent alone is not enough. Execution, strategy, and timing are equally critical, and when any of these elements falter, the consequences are stark. The reality is that the Dodgers are in a precarious spot, and last night's loss was a microcosm of larger systemic issues. The team now faces an uphill climb, and every upcoming game will carry significant weight. While fans can hope for a miraculous turnaround, the combination of strategic missteps, bullpen vulnerabilities, and the pressures of a wild-card scenario creates a formidable challenge. The way the team navigates the next week of regular season games, manages their pitching staff, and approaches the playoffs will define the narrative of their season. In a league where opportunities are fleeting and margins are slim, last night's decision to remove Ohtani is a moment that could have lasting implications, not just for the outcome of one game, but for the trajectory of the Dodgers' postseason hopes. It is a stark reminder that in baseball, as in life, decisions carry consequences, and sometimes the boldest, most aggressive choices are the ones that yield the greatest rewards, or the most painful regrets. Looking ahead, the Dodgers are staring down a postseason scenario that none of their fans, or probably even their front office, expected at the beginning of the year. The wild card round, which is essentially a one-game or best-of-3 elimination scenario, depending on the format, is not a comfortable place for a team that has invested heavily in its roster, brought in top-tier talent, and spent the season chasing a division title. Playing in the wild card is essentially asking the Dodgers to cram the intensity of a playoff series into a compressed, high-stakes window where any mistake can end their season. It's a scenario that forces every decision into the spotlight. Who starts, how long they pitch when the bullpen comes in, and how the manager sequences every player becomes critical. And while the Dodgers have the talent to compete with anyone, talent alone doesn't erase the pressure that comes with a must-win game. Every pitch matters, every error is magnified, and the margin for error shrinks to almost nothing. The stress on the pitching staff, the hitters, and the coaching staff is immense, and last night's collapse against the Phillies served as a preview of just how thin that margin really is. Shohei Ohtani's role in the playoffs is going to be under intense scrutiny. While he's clearly one of the most dominant pitchers the Dodgers have, His limited innings raise significant questions about how the team will structure its postseason strategy. If the team continues to follow the pitch count limits that were applied last night, Ohtani might only give the team 4 or 5 innings per start. That scenario puts enormous strain on the bullpen, which is already inconsistent and unreliable in high-leverage situations. Last night was a clear example. After Ohtani left, Raleski and Trinan struggled to maintain the lead, and even though Jack Dreyer pitched relatively well, it wasn't enough to compensate for the earlier collapse. The bullpen was essentially exposed, and in the playoffs, facing teams like Philadelphia with deep lineups, any weakness in relief pitching is likely to be punished. The Dodgers cannot afford to have their best pitcher's workload capped in a way that forces the bullpen into multiple high-pressure innings, especially if those innings determine whether the team advances or goes home. It's a delicate balancing act, and the team's current configuration doesn't inspire confidence that it can handle this pressure without serious adjustments. The question of strategy extends beyond pitching. The Dodgers need to consider how they will approach every game offensively and defensively in the postseason. Their lineup has the talent to produce runs, but consistency has been a problem, particularly against teams that are well-prepared and capable of exploiting any weakness. Philadelphia, having already won the season series, knows the Dodgers' tendencies and strengths, and they will be prepared to attack any predictable patterns, whether that's in pitch selection, defensive shifts, or situational hitting. The Dodgers need to be adaptive, flexible, and willing to make bold decisions if they hope to advance past the wild card round. That includes rethinking pitch counts, bullpen usage, and even lineup construction to maximize the effectiveness of their star players while protecting them from overuse. The margin for error is microscopic, and any hesitation or overly rigid adherence to preset plans could cost the team dearly. One of the most pressing concerns is how the Dodgers will navigate a potential first-round matchup against the Phillies if they survive the wild card. Philadelphia is a team that has proven it can dominate both offensively and defensively, and the fact that the Dodgers have already lost the season series indicates that they will need more than just individual brilliance to overcome them. The series will likely be played on the road, adding an extra layer of difficulty. Road games in the playoffs are never easy, and when you factor in a limited pitching rotation, a taxed bullpen, and a lineup that may not be firing on all cylinders, the challenge becomes monumental. The Dodgers will need to balance their desire to maximize Ohtani's starts with the need to maintain bullpen health, and that balancing act could dictate whether the team wins or loses. Every choice, from when to pinch hit to when to bring in a reliever, becomes amplified in these scenarios, and last night's loss illustrated just how quickly momentum can shift against them. Another concern is the psychological aspect. A team like the Dodgers, accustomed to being favorites and holding home field advantages, now faces the added stress of elimination scenarios. Playing in the wild card round is effectively a sudden death situation. One bad game or one collapse can end the season. That pressure affects not only players' performance, but also the decision-making of the coaching staff. Managers are forced into situations where conventional wisdom must be weighed against intuition, and where analytics, while important, sometimes clash with the human element of the game. Last night, the decision to pull Ohtani despite his dominant performance may have been influenced by long-term considerations. But in a playoff scenario, the optimal choice might have been to ride the momentum and let the pitcher finish the job. The tension between cautious planning and seizing opportunities is going to be a recurring theme for the Dodgers in the coming weeks. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. The buzz around Major League Baseball took an unexpected turn this week, as whispers have begun to spread about one of the most explosive moves of the offseason: Vladimir Guerrero Jr. possibly landing in Los Angeles to wear Dodger blue. Though nothing has been made official, the chatter has been growing louder in front offices, locker rooms, and especially among fans on social media. The idea of Guerrero Jr., one of the brightest young stars in the game, stepping onto the field at Dodger Stadium has already set imaginations racing. The Dodgers, always known for their ambition and willingness to make bold moves, are reportedly eyeing Guerrero Jr. as the next big piece in their championship puzzle. After years of dominating the National League, the club has never been shy about pushing the limits in search of more star power. Guerrero Jr., with his powerful bat and magnetic personality, fits the mold perfectly. Rumors suggest that talks have advanced to the point where some insiders claim to have seen him in Dodgers colors behind closed doors, testing the feel of that iconic blue and white uniform. For Guerrero Jr., the potential switch would mark a dramatic chapter in his career. The slugger, long considered the face of Toronto's future, could now be repositioning himself as the centerpiece of a team already stacked with talent. While some question how his defense would align with the Dodgers' long-term plans, few doubt the thunder his bat would bring to an already fearsome lineup. Opposing pitchers may be losing sleep just imagining Guerrero Jr. sharing the same batting order with names like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Fans, of course, are torn between skepticism and excitement. Is this truly happening, or is it another off-season mirage that fades away once the hot stove cools down? No matter the truth behind the whispers, the possibility alone is enough to ignite speculation across the league. Guerrero Jr. in Dodger blue, whether fantasy or inevitability, has become a headline rumor that everyone in baseball is talking about. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.